In war, deception reaches its peak, not when the enemy believes a lie, but when he organizes his entire strategy around it. By the spring of 1944, Adolf Hitler was no longer merely misled. He was commanding against ghosts. For years, British counterintelligence had tuned the orchestra of deception. Controlled double agents, planted reports, even a manufactured corpse that carried false plans ashore. Each success emboldened the Allies to attempt something larger. Not a single document, not a single spy, an entire army, alive on paper, real on the radio, solid in the imagination of German intelligence. They called it the First United States Army Group. On German maps, it was enormous. Hundreds of thousands of men, armored divisions, landing crafts stacked along the English coast, sprawling depots and air units, all angled toward the narrowest throat of the channel, past to Calais, the logical shortest crossing. In reality, it did not exist. What existed instead was a masterpiece of coordination, stretched across counties and disciplines. Rubber tanks breathed quietly in hedgerows. Canvas and wood aircraft sat obediently on runways. Trucks painted with unit markings drove in circles to create dust and tire wear. Engineers erected fake fuel farms and dummy barracks. Even laundry lines were staged to suggest a population of soldiers beyond the horizon. Every prop was placed with the eye of a director and the patience of a forger, all for an audience that would never applaud, the German reconnaissance lens. But props alone do not make an army. Armies live on orders, and orders travel by signal. So the Allies flooded the ether. Radio operators sent the steady heartbeat of a force at work. Requisitions and routine, complaints and coordination, the mundane friction of war. Call signs followed doctrine. Nets rose and fell with the tempo of exercises. The volume matched the head count the Germans already assumed was there. Analysts in darkened rooms listened, mapped, correlated, and found what they were primed to find. The most dangerous phrase in intelligence is, "It fits the pattern." And there was a commander, the perfect face for a force that needed to be believed. George S. Patton, the Americans' hard-charging, sharp-tongued cavalryman, was publicly placed at its head. He was the general German planners most feared, and crucially, the one they considered most predictable in his aggression. If the main blow was coming at Calais, of course Patton would lead it. Hitler believed it. So, when Allied soldiers stormed ashore in Normandy on June 6, 1944, the German reaction came with a fatal hesitation. The beaches were real, the combat brutal, but in Berlin the calculus said, wait. Panzer divisions held in reserve near Calais, idled for orders that did not come. Days passed, then weeks. Every Allied advance in Normandy was measured against the expectation of a second, larger strike. The real invasion, still to come. It never came. By the time German commanders grasped that the shadows had weight and the weight was elsewhere, the Allies had widened the beachhead, joined ports to supply lines, and converted deception into momentum. The wrong war was being fought in the wrong place, and the consequences were irreversible. Tanks that might have crushed the lodgment at Omaha and Gold sat miles away guarding a phantom. This was deception at its limit, not simply hiding reality, but replacing it. The Allies did not just fool German intelligence. For months, they occupied it. Every map pinned to a wall, every radio log, every cautious memo reinforced an illusion so comprehensive that it shaped strategy at the highest level. An army that never existed helped win a very real war. Their triumph reminds us that wars are not only contests of steel and fire, but of stories. Stories convincing enough to hold divisions in place and bend decisions at the summit. In our next episode, we step closer to the human edge of that illusion. The double agents who lived two lives at once. Men and women who wrote letters, sent codes, staged betrayals, and lied so well that sometimes even they forgot where the performance ended and the person began.